I am trying to be as open and accessible to the Australian people as I possibly can be, and I suggest the Prime Minister should do the same.
Did you go too far yesterday?
He shunned repeated questioning over an issue that's dividing the country.
I had something to say about that yesterday, and again, I'm happy to let that stand.
But things got awkward for the opposition leader too.
I wish the speech to stand on its own today.
Over his comments backing the rights of farmers to deny miners access to their land.
I had something to say about that yesterday, and I'm happy to let that stand.
He repeated the same line 10 times over 2 minutes.
This is quite embarrassing.
Well, you might be embarrassed, mate, but as I said, I've given a speech and that's the way it is.
Did you go too far yesterday, do you think? Are you back in the way?
Yeah. Is he going to say anything? You think he wants to turn around as a crack? I'm out of there. I'm not going to say anything.
As they were before the trip.
Can we just clarify what you said before? Are you saying that we journalists are being spun by Labor, sir?
But was Tony Abbott informed far earlier? A simple question the opposition leader seemed to find very complex.
Did anyone from Qantas speak to you or your office prior to Saturday about the possibility of a grounding?
Look, the important thing is that the government was warned repeatedly.
The question was whether your office was forewarned of the dispute. Can you answer that?
One question he didn't answer, and here it is.
Mr. Abbott, the question was whether your office was forewarned of the dispute. Can you answer that?
My office was in regular contact with Qantas. Qantas, as anyone in Parliament House would know, have basically been patrolling the corridors of Parliament House for weeks now, alerting people to the seriousness of the dispute. Thanks very much.
Compromise seems unlikely.
Would you like to sit down with the Prime Minister and work out a deal on asylum seekers, Mr Abbott? Would you like to see a compromise?
The soldiers shouldn't. I shouldn't. Yeah. But I'm not turning into media circus. I'm showing you vision of your reaction to his explanation about what happened on the day in the operation in which McKinney was killed. How's that turning into a media circus? Okay, well, tell me, what's the context, and if it's out of context, what is the context? You're not saying anything, Tony.
I've given you the response you deserve.
When do you think you might be able to convince Tony Abbott to come on QandA and show us more of the real Tony and some of his agenda for regional Australia?
This is how it works. If they get a gig where it's only, Julia and Tony, then Tony wants a gig where it's just Tony and Tony. And if you want to have everybody on...
No, he's been offered on numerous occasions Tony and Tony, so that's the question that's really being offered up here.
I'll take it up with him.
We should say again that we have invited the opposition leader Tony Abbott to join us for a one-man Q&A session, and so far he's declined. We'll keep you posted on
Before we go to the Sunday papers, we need to explain something. Letters are starting to appear in newspapers and we get scores of complaints here because this year, 7 weeks in, we haven't yet had a program guest from the opposition. Well, that's because they haven't yet provided one in 7 weeks. We've even resorted to saying to Tony Abbott's office, we'll take anyone at all, but still we come up short. We just think you need to know that.
Our guest this week, as last week, was going to be Barnaby Joyce, but for the second week the Coalition has dragged him away. We're told this program is deemed too dangerous, and that is a quote.
And then you've got Tony Abbott telling his MPs, his front benches, don't appear on dangerous programs like Meet the Press because they might actually ask a question or two, which Mr Abbott runs away from. He was asked about a cover-up a few weeks ago. He cut off the press conference and ran away. He runs away in the Parliament. Everyone saw him running away in the Parliament.
The doors.
And when it dawned on them, Tony Abbott and 2 other opposition MPs dashed for the door to neutralise Craig Thompson's vote.
No! Lock the doors, too late.
He runs away from hard questions, and now he keeps his front benches away from programs that might actually ask some tough questions and puts him on to Bolt Report to have a cup of tea.
I am trying to be as open and accessible to the Australian people as I possibly can be, and I suggest the Prime Minister should do the same.
This is 5 minutes later. 5 minutes later.
Isn't it true that your direct action policy will never be? We followed you around for all morning. We really have been here out here since 9. On our way out here since 9.
But how is that any different to the baby bonus, for example?
Well, look, they just are. Why do we call a rose a rose? We just do.